Today I'm talking to you about my favorite ways to drive traffic to your store. So what's the secret to driving traffic to your e-com store? It's a question I get asked all the time. And of course it's super important because if you don't get the traffic, you can't get the sales, right? And when you first get started, it can take time to get traffic to the levels that you need. And here's the thing. Often when boutique owners and e-commerce brands come to me, they think their traffic is decent. And I always say, whatever you think is enough, double it, maybe even triple it. Hey, boutique owner and other e-commerce brands. If you are new to my channel, hi, I'm Angela. And today I'm talking to you about my favorite ways to drive traffic to your store. PS in advance, if you want to make sure you never miss a thing we have to share, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit the bell to be notified when we post new videos. So in my recent videos, I've been talking about increasing revenue a lot. It's the second most common question I get, obviously. So I've talked about the three main areas I think you need to focus on to increase revenue. 1, improving your conversion rates. 2, increasing your average cart totals. And the thing I'm going to be talking about today, 3, driving traffic. Hey, buddy bud. I know. My new little adopted husky wants in on the action today. So anyway, let's dive in. But first, do go ahead and subscribe while you're here. Okay, so let's talk about how to drive traffic to that Shopify store. So in case you didn't know, let's first chat about why traffic is so important. So the e-commerce industry has an average of only a 2% conversion rate, which we learned right in a few videos ago about the fact that that means your conversion rate is basically out of the number of people that come to your store, what percentage of them actually make a purchase? Only 2%. 2%. Can you imagine how low that is? But that's how it is. So if your goal, for example, is to make 10 sales per day, with that 2% conversion rate in mind, you would need to get 1,000 hits to your website every single day. Now you can imagine why when we get a lot of ladies come to us, ladies or gentlemen, come to us and they only have 20 to 30 website hits a day and they're wondering why nobody is purchasing. That's why. You really need a lot more. But there's something I want to say about not only this video in general, but really anything that you learn about in terms of marketing. This is not a magical miracle fix. There is no such thing. Driving traffic is challenging because it's also not just about driving traffic. Really, it's driving the right sort of traffic and then making sure that the website they're hitting is optimized. It's all part of the puzzle, right? But that said, there is huge value in driving as much traffic as possible because even if that traffic doesn't convert for you, it helps you with some data in terms of knowing, okay, well, that sort of traffic isn't working for me. What can I do differently? And the point is with traffic that everybody starts with zero traffic when you first publish your website. You have no traffic coming in, or again, you have like that 10, 15, 20 that's kind of like your friends and family and random people that accidentally hit your site somehow. So to really ramp up your traffic can take a few months or longer. It really depends on your store, your marketing efforts, all of that, right? So this is where I want to bring to your attention that in terms of driving traffic, you want to think of things in two different ways. There's quick wins, and then there's the long game. You really want to always keep both in mind, and you should have different strategies around both. Quick wins are super important, but if you're always focused on only the quick wins, then it's like you never get to back up, be the CEO, look at the bigger picture, think about the future, and think about what's going to really speed things up in the end, right? So obviously if you need sales right now, then implement those short-term strategies. But so what's the difference, right? So short-term strategies are things like posting constantly on social media, sending out emails, app notifications, having people join your text club and sending out the text messages. These are quick wins when you need revenue now. But if you only ever focus on that, the issue is you're always going to be stuck there. You're always going to be in the weeds. You're going to be exhausted. You're never really going to have a bigger plan and strategy that allows you to grow beyond where you're able to get on your own using these short-term strategies. So long-term strategies are things like social media in general. Now I understand, like I just said, if you're posting on social media, that's a short term, but you also want to think of social media in terms of the bigger picture and longer term. So for example, on Instagram, say that you're posting, every day, but like, is that actually working for you? Or is it time that you step back and think about, okay, long-term strategy, what do we want to do for Instagram? Like, how are our metrics looking now? Like, what is working, what isn't working? What can we tweak to really make this work for my company and for me? Because ideally, you're not going to have to be the one in the weeds forever. That's no way to run a business. It's a way to run yourself into the ground is what it's a way to do. So back up and think about your long-term strategies in terms of social media as well, not just on the here and now, because otherwise you're never going to get out of that. SEO, this is another one. Of course, we get asked about this a lot. SEO is not something that you can do to your website and people will just come and you never have to worry about it again. No, it is a long-term marketing strategy that you have to work on. It can take 8-9 months to really start to see any traction there. And that's if you've been doing it right. And of course, what's right for one business is not going to be the same thing as what's right for the next business. So you really have to be thoughtful about your SEO efforts. And you have to understand that these are going to take a long time. It doesn't mean that it's not worth it to do. It's absolutely worth it to do. But this has to be something that you realize is a long game thing versus the short, quick wins. Content marketing. This goes hand in hand with SEO, but there are other reasons for it too. If you pay attention to our marketing efforts at Hot Mess, you'll see that, we're putting out a blog every week. We're putting out a couple of YouTube videos every month. We have specific content marketing measures in place. And believe me, yes, we want to help you. And we also want to be able to provide the resources that you're looking for. Like, we want to be your go-to in terms of resources for e-commerce, right? But we have a whole plan and strategy around it. And it's really like a well-oiled machine at this point. But we know that, like, sharing a blog, for example, isn't going to magically force someone to sign up to work with us, right? It's going to take time to nurture you guys into clients if that's what is right for you and your business, of course. Or maybe you don't end up ever working with us, but you think of us when someone else is looking for website help. So these things are long term. Now in the e-commerce world, how can you do the same thing in your business? So how can you become a resource for your customers in some way, whether it's a resource in, inspiration, a resource in community, a resource in, actual fashion knowledge and trends and staying up to date and picking the right outfits and all of that kind of stuff. Like, how can you build that relationship long term? And again, this is something different than the quick wins that you're used to doing all the time, right? And then email marketing as well can be something long term. Yes, it can be a quick win sort of a thing, but if you really give some value in your email marketing, even if it's just a little bit, and again, even if it's just community conversation, really relating to them within your email marketing, it's something that you can build a relationship with your customer over time, and that can make a big difference long term. So then there's also paid marketing strategies. And these can definitely be really profitable, but again, they're also not magic fixes. So there's different platforms that you can use. All social media platforms these days offer ads, even TikTok, Pinterest, Facebook, Snapchat, like every platform these days offers paid advertising. So it's also about figuring out where your ideal customer is and where you're going to see the most fruit for your efforts, right? So then there's Google ads, and then, there's other third-party platforms that you might use. I mean, like, again, like a radio advertisement, or, there's certain Facebook groups that have other ways that you can pay to advertise using their platform. So there's a ton of different ways that you can pay for marketing, and it can add up. It can be really expensive. Here's something that you need to know when you're doing all this. Again, it's not a quick fix. Even if you put the money in, it doesn't mean that you're going to get the money out. You have to be strategic in terms of how you're doing it, which is why it's often a good idea to outsource to someone who really has that skill level, especially if you don't have the time to really dig in deep in terms of learning, the best way to maximize and optimize your use of this sort of advertising. But even when you're bringing in an expert, there is still no guarantee. There is still a lot that you are in control of versus the person that you hire. For example, the amount of inventory that you're carrying, the photos that you're using on your website, the look of the rest of your website, the ease of use of your website, all of this stuff, like, you have to still be working on in order to get the most out of this, right? It's help. So the other thing is, like, you want to think too, like, the expert that works best for you may not be the expert that works best for the next person. You may find a Facebook ads agency that charges $4,000 that just doesn't help you at all. It's possible, right? Or you may find one that's $500 that kills it for you, and vice versa. Again, what works for one person may not work for you. And so you really have to always have to be the one that's running the show in terms of your marketing efforts, even when you have people that are helping. You cannot just hire someone and think like, okay, they're going to take care of this, I don't need to worry about it. No, you do need to still worry about it. And you need to make sure that you have the right person helping, that you're doing as much as you can on your end, all of that kind of stuff. So none of this is easy, right? So what has the biggest impact? We have found that right now, in this industry in particular, emails and text club is really where it's at. And traditionally it would be emails, but the reason text club is coming out a little bit more ahead right now is just simply because text laws have not really caught up in terms of spam filters. That may happen in the future. Who knows? Obviously, the email spam filters are pretty strong. So you know that if you're sending out an email to a list of 5,000, could be that half of those are going directly to spam. So that's why you'll see that your open rates are probably fairly low. If you can keep your open rates to around 20 to 25%, you're doing pretty good. There are other ways to optimize your email sending, though, too. We do actually have a blog about that if you want to check it out. That touches on it anyway. Regardless, it is still a good way to reach out to your customers. But both of these are highly recommended. And we like PostScript in terms of your text club because it integrates really well with Shopify. It allows you to do, like, if you go to thonginit.com, which is my boutique website, you can see the pop-up feature that they have, and there's automations that you can set up. It's pretty neat. So one thing to check out within all of this is our boutique traffic calculator. So there's two versions, and if I made it as easy as possible that you just go to boutiquetrafficcalculator.com, or if you're just at hotmesshustle.com, in the top left, there's always this button here. But we've got two versions of this calculator. So say that your monthly revenue goal is $15,000. And you're going to look for the last 90 days. What is this actual information in Shopify? And I do have a link here if you're not sure how to find this information. Basically, when you're in Shopify, you just go to analytics, and your main dashboard area is going to have these things. You just have to click in the top left. There's a little area where you can say, like, I just want to look at today's data, last month, choose 90 days just to give you, a good sample. So you type in whatever your conversion rate has been for the last, 90 days. Say that you're a little higher than normal at 2.9. And what is your average cart total, right? So the average amount that when a customer does check out, they have in their cart. So let's just say you're at $56, for example, and then your actual website traffic over the last 90 days. Let's say that you're at 100 visits a day, which is not terrible. It is more than like nothing, but you do still need some work on it. But so that would be around 9,000, right? So in order to hit this revenue goal, you need 268 orders per month, which means you need 9,236 hits per month, as long as these stay the same, right? The same, like even as you increase traffic, your conversion rate stays the same and they're checking out with the same total, which you're only getting around 3,000. So you literally need to increase your marketing efforts 3 times over. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean if you're posting on your Facebook group 3 times a day that you can just times that by 3 and do that with all of your efforts, and that is going to bring you the result you want. It doesn't work like that, unfortunately. It's more about working 3 times smarter than just 3 times harder. So it's about what does work. How can you make the absolute most of it? What doesn't work, stop wasting your time on it, right? So the other way to look at this calculator is this way. So say we had the same information. Okay, so we know that you had 3,000 hits, 9,000 hits in 90 days. Okay, so with this information, you should be bringing in around almost $5,000 a month. But now you can really play around with, okay, so what if these stay the same and I increase my traffic to, let's say I double it, which obviously then your revenue is going to double too. But anyway, so you can play around with if you do increase your traffic, what will that do for your bottom line? And then once you get your traffic high enough, then you can start to see when it's really worth it to focus on. And again, our last 2 blogs and videos were on conversion rate and average cart total. So kind of ties this all together. But okay, so say that you have your website traffic and you're getting more and more. So say that you can get your average cart total up to 78. You can see what this does to your revenue. Or what if you are able to, you're able to speed up your website speed, which we talked about last week. And that actually helps your conversion rate. And now you're a 4. So you can see what this does to your totals. So anyway, I hope that this is helpful for you. Again, driving traffic is so important. But what's even more important, let me say this, nothing is more important than driving traffic. I would say that that's the number one thing. But if you're driving all that traffic and then you're not making the most out of their visit to your site, then that's an even bigger travesty. So what's even more important is that when they get to your site, you need to give them the best experience possible so they don't just leave again without purchasing. So again, optimize your site for making sales. This is another blog that we have called, should be boutiquewebsiteaudit.com. Okay, so this goes over a step-by-step of what you can do specifically to audit your own website. Of course, we do also offer an audit service, but this is definitely worth checking out. So again, boutiquewebsiteaudit.com. So optimize your site for making sales. Make sure that your page speed is optimized. Again, we talked about that in the last video. Use email marketing and your text list. And because also on your website, make sure that you have the appropriate call to actions to get them on your list, because the next best thing to a sale is that they at least subscribe to your list so you can keep talking to them. So then make sure that your abandoned cart process series is optimized as well. Shopify offers 1 abandoned cart, which I recommend using. So 1 email, and then beyond that, you could use another provider, whether it's MailChimp or Klaviyo, to then turn that into a series. Or there's an app on Shopify that I like called Consistent Cart. it has its own special features in terms of making sure that that process is as smooth as possible, as detailed as possible. And then what other retargeting measures can you do once someone does hit your site, especially if they don't purchase? Like, how can you get them to revisit again? So retargeting Facebook ads, even if you're not running any other sort of ads, but you're driving enough traffic, you definitely want to be retargeting them there. But really anything else that you could do, again, those app notifications or push notifications, the text messages, the emails, the social media posts, stay top of mind. Top of mind. I see those are out of the picture, but with your customer. So we have some homework for you over the holidays. First of all, use our boutique traffic calculator to figure out how much traffic you actually need to meet your revenue goals. And then find one way to improve your site, to optimize your site to improve your customer experience. Even knowing these two things will really go a long way in helping you understand and figure out what works for you. So that's it for driving website traffic today. Like I said in my other videos about increasing your revenue, what I want you to do is just go implement just one of these tips in your Shopify store and monitor it. Go take a look at both of the conversion rate blog and increasing average cart total blog and just take it all in. Just one thing at a time and see what moves the needle. And come back and tell us how you got on. We want to celebrate with you, whether it's a win or something you've learned. And again, if you love our stuff, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified when we post new videos. Have a wonderful holiday, and we'll see you on the other side. Need more? Check out the blog at hotmessblog.com. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel too. Cheers!